All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to an interview with JeztersCort.
Howdy.
Now, now, Jester, please, if you will, introduce yourself for those watching.
Sure thing. Uh, I'm known as JeztersCort. I'm a long-term friend of Phantom Lion.
Okay.
Um, I've been on YouTube for, I want to say, about 5 years. And during those 5 years, my goal as far as video making has changed uh, significantly.
All
At
right.
first, it was just a bunch of fun. I mean, I didn't really care. I didn't really have a direction to go in. It was just something that I did for a hobby. Um, then
Okay.
it accumulated into um, ponage videos and etc. But we'll get into that in just a little bit.
Um, yeah, certainly. I do have some questions for you, if you will. Um, so let's uh, let's get this out of the way. This Satanism thing, and I'm certain, and I know for sure that you've gotten a lot of flack over this over the years being on YouTube. Um, Now, of course, I am talking about Satanism, or more specifically, your Satanism. I do have some questions here. Is it just atheism in a Halloween costume? Do you agree with this? If so, explain why. If you don't necessarily agree, please explain why you don't agree with that.
I mean, it can be that if you take it to that extent. Um, and I do agree to some extent because other religions, you see them like up on their pedestals with their nice little robes and their rituals and things of that nature, and they're just completely decked out. Um, I think that the only difference is that within Satanism, there's this realization that you're not talking to a third party. All the stuff that is present in the ritual room or within the ceremony, it's all a product of what you are producing. Um, so it's very uh, um, it's basically psychology. Um, Basically, you're producing the effects, you are producing the atmosphere, and yeah, it's a lot like acting. It's like giving into a character. But as far as the definition of it being just atheist in Halloween costumes, I mean, sure, you can look at it that way if you want to, but I think there's a lot more that people miss out simply because of that definition alone. Um, because not all atheists are the same. I mean, when you think about it, atheism, sorry, that's my phone. Atheism is just talking about what you're not. Basically, it's saying that you are not a theist. But it doesn't say anything about
So, yeah,
the beliefs that you hold or anything like that.
yeah, it does. It does seem rather bland in a sense, doesn't it? Which brings me to my next question. Um, how and why did you become a Satanist? And can you tell us a little bit about your transition into Satanism?
Well, that's the thing. When you ask the question in that way, uh, no one can become a Satanist. You either
Right.
You either realize that you are, or you're just not. And if you realize that you are, it's then up to you if you want to accept the label or not. Um,
Okay.
like I said before, it's something you either accept the label or you don't. It's not a matter of converting. So, however, for me specifically, I was coming from a Christian background. I uh, I was raised in a Christian home. We started off as Baptist, and I didn't really pay attention that much. I just knew that that a God existed and that He cared for me. That's essentially all I really knew about it. It wasn't until my teenage years that we changed churches and went to a non-denominational church, and that's when I started to actually get involved with Christianity and coming to accept it for my own. Um, but then again, there wasn't a real moment in my life where I said, okay, now I know that I'm a Christian, or I choose to be a Christian. There was no declarative moment in my life where I said, yes, I am a Christian. It was just something that was expected of me.
I understand that. I do remember watching a video of yours that expressed that once your leave from Christianity, once that was all over, um, you noticed a sudden change in your life. There was no more prayer. There was no more ritual. All of that was gone, and you had like this sort of calling. Would you explain that sort of calling, if you will?
Well, sure. I mean, as far as ritual and ceremony or as far as ceremony and ritual goes, uh, ceremony and ritual have become a part of the human animals culture. Um, I mean, this is the reason why we celebrate birthdays. We basically put on all these different. We have all these different customs that we have become so used to. It's like we would feel. I don't know. It feel like you would be missing out. Now, some people they don't really feel that way, but for me specifically, that's how I felt. Um, Basically, being a part of the community and like I mentioned before, that ritual and ceremony have this sort of effect on your mind. Like it's a release of negative emotions.
Hmm.
There's a releasing of endorphins.
Kind of like meditation,
Right.
right?
There's some. It's like some feeling of, I guess, nirvana or some sort of revelation. Um, and once I left Christianity, I realized that all of this was just uh, basically psychology. Um, it was a placebo effect. I mean, nothing was actually being accomplished, but the feeling alone, it pretty much uh, it made you feel like something was happening. And I guess you can argue that if it weren't for the ritual and the ceremony, I mean, you can change. It changes your mind, and when you change your mind, you're able to change your circumstances.
I see.
So I felt like once I left the Christian church, that ceremony and ritual was basically taken out. It felt like there was no meaning to it anymore. However, all it was a matter of looking at it differently and realizing that there was an actual purpose that I could now that I knew that there was a certain purpose for these rituals and ceremony instead of being subject to the whims of the person that's up on the pedestal. I can use it for my own means.
Mm.
So that's essentially what changed. Um, I guess I was talking about my transition, wasn't I?
Yes, yes, you were, and you didn't stray off topic. That's perfect.
All
Um,
right. Well,
change,
go ahead. Go ahead.
change can be a very powerful thing, but at the same time, it's difficult. It really is.
Right.
What were you saying?
Well, I essentially was an atheist. I'm tired of this fucking phone. Excuse me. You know, we should have done this in post production, but I didn't think about it. So, excuse me.
Or
Turn this down.
rather pre-production.
Did I say post? My
Yeah,
bad.
you said post.
Okay, well,
I'm not editing this video. Forget about that. And
that's fine.
depending how long it is, I've edited uh like 3 hour videos before, and it literally took a couple of days to render and upload. So that's why I preferred to do this interview on the Google Hangouts. So it just
Yeah,
posts straight to YouTube. But what were you saying
but
before?
essentially, I consider myself an atheist for I want to say about 2 or 3 years. Well, I'm still an atheist. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't until maybe 2 years after my deconversion that I started to actually look into different philosophies. I was looking for something that I could relate to, not something that I can change myself for, just something that I could call myself and something that I could use ritualistically,
I totally get that. You're your own
something, some sort of model,
yeah, you're your own personal deity, I think.
something like that. I wouldn't
Well,
really call it a deity, but
or God or
I would
whatever.
really call it a model.
Yeah, it's essentially what we call these gods or lords or prophets or whatever. They are essentially models, beings to look up to aspire to. So they really all stand for similar things, or at least that's my opinion of it. But on to the next question about your Satanism specifically. Um, I guess.
I like how you say your Satanism because
Well,
that's the most accurate way to put it because not every Satanist is the same, and I think that's the one thing that Satanism differs from a lot of religions. You know, according to a religion, there's a certain way that you have to be. In Satanism, basically, if you're not being you, then or you're trying to be something else besides you. I mean, you're not a Satanist. You're looking to you're basically walking on the right hand path.
yeah, it's conformity. Conformity, yes. I know all too well what that used to feel like. Um, I only know what conformity feels like in the form of a mask, really, but we'll get to all that later. Uh, I honestly, I was saying your Satanism, because there is that definitely, but it's very hard for me, as Phantom Lion, especially to be politically correct. So it's a struggle that I still have, being politically correct, because I don't want to.
Why do you want to be?
Well, I guess for the sake of the interview, I do want to appear somewhat professional. But as said before, we fuck up, we fuck up. Um, I'm starting to care less and less about political correctness, but I do understand the purpose for being politically correct. It's so you don't step on anybody's toes or piss anybody off unintentionally
Right.
or indirectly or
Right.
or unjustifiably.
I don't see anything wrong with being politically correct, but if you're doing it and you are basically uh, you're sacrificing something in order to appease somebody. I mean, that's just
Oh
wrong.
no, no, no. I'm just trying to appease myself. At least for right now, I'm just trying to be politically correct so I can appease me. That's it. Um, I don't have anybody to impress. I mean, I've got barely, I've got over 600 subscribers. I mean, I've went up a little bit, but I don't have anything to be arrogant about. So, we don't have to worry about being too politically correct on here. But on to the next question, and let's get the obvious stuff out of the way, shall we?
Sure.
Do you worship the devil?
Uh, no.
Wow.
Um,
Okay. Elaborate, please.
yeah.
Elaborate. I,
Essentially, when a Satanist is saying "Hail Satan," we have to look at the word Satan in its original sense, um, in the Old Testament, and which is interesting because Satan doesn't really become an actual character until the New Testament.
character.
Right. I mean, it does. I mean, Satan doesn't
Uh,
become an actual entity until the New Testament. But in the Old Testament, when the actual word Hasatan, which means the Satan,
mm,
uh, essentially it was a label or a title that was given to a person who was to be called the adversary or the opposer, one to accuse or to question. And essentially, the person that was given the different characters in the stories that were given the word Hasatan, they were agents of God, which is interesting because we're supposed to believe that Satan is a an enemy of God, when
mm,
actually in the Old Testament these were usually agents that were appointed by God to be the adversaries. And
mm.
that's essentially what we see the word Satan as. We're essentially
Well,
saying by saying that we are Satanists, we are saying that we are the adversaries of this reality.
hmm.
Um, I'm sorry, I might have trailed off from your question.
That's okay. It does seem like that it's also a matter of different points of view on this because there is a point of view that no matter how you look at it, God is the author of evil. No matter how indirect or direct, you are still the creator of the adversary or the enemy or whatever. And
Right,
it
and
doesn't make much sense to me. And there is also a theory, if you could elaborate on this, that Satan is actually the hero of humanity. He brought human beings out of ignorance.
mhm.
In Genesis with Adam and Eve and the apple, and hey, by the way, you're naked.
Yeah. Well, I think I would hold that I do hold that view that that he is a anti-hero. Um, he doesn't really do anything for, well, how should I phrase this? Uh, wow. I wish we could edit because I'm drawing a blank
um,
because I lost my
yeah.
train of thought.
Well, I'll help you. I asked you if you could elaborate on the point of view of Satan actually
Satan
being,
being the hero.
yeah, the hero of humanity in Genesis with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden.
Right. I mean, in the Garden of Eden, you have God who has placed this temptation and in the garden, and he says, "Don't eat it." I mean, it's and it's interesting that the God of the Bible has called this tree the tree of knowledge, and it's interesting because it really shows that God is against knowledge. He's against his creatures, his creations, to know anything. And the
Well,
very fact that it's called the tree of knowledge and that God doesn't want people to have knowledge, it's just and Christians accept this without even batting an eyelash.
you should visit the state of Texas.
Well, I'm in Louisiana, which
Not
is
even joking. That's well, they've changed it recently, but
I'm in Louisiana, which is Texas light,
I like that Texas light.
pretty much.
Um, but yeah,
So essentially, like I was saying earlier,
yeah. Go ahead.
about the title of the adversary,
Hmm.
essentially when a Satanist is saying "Hail Satan," he's actually talking about himself,
Okay.
because Satanism is about self-mastery. It's about being your own god, being your only authority when it comes to your morals and your values. So there is no worship. There's because worship requires submission. It requires subservience, and there is no. We don't we don't value that at all. Um, even in the theistic sense, we have theistic Satanists who
Hmm.
actually believe in a actual uh, entity, an entity called Satan,
Okay.
or whatever they wish to call it. Um, they believe that this force is a actual entity, and even in that sense, they don't. Well, this is only by speculation, but from what I've gathered from talking to other theistic Satanists is that they don't worship that entity. They just believe that it exists. If anything, they really all they do is they align themselves with this entity, but there's no worship involved.
Okay. Very good. Since we're on the obvious here, uh, this is one of the this is another big one that I think that the reason why I asked the last one is because just to clarify for the viewers is that um, honestly, the question, do you worship the devil? Nobody really, I think, at least in my opinion, there are a whole lot of people out there that don't pay attention to the answers because they would feel a whole lot better about themselves um, if they did. I think the answers are just kind of lost on so many people. Uh,
It's because they fall on deaf ears.
yeah, yeah, indeed. Um, so on to the next question. Do you sacrifice animals and or infants?
Absolutely not, because Satanists they appreciate things that are very natural. Uh, Animals, they have no choice but to do what comes naturally to them. They base their actions on instinct, and they'll do whatever they need to survive and continue. And we respect that because it's unbiased, and well, it's biased according to the creature, towards the creature that is trying to survive. But that's basically it. It's uncorrupted by indoctrination. It's just it's just what they are. It's what comes naturally to them. Much like little children. Little children have no bias. when it comes to what they do. Um, and it's basically the purest form of a human being that is unindoctrinated, and we respect those forms of life. So as far as sacrifice goes, it's a very Christian idea. It's basically taking the life force of another creature and using it to uh, empower yourself. And we don't believe that. We believe that if you're going to uh, do anything, it should be from your own power. And in a mystical sense, it's it's a disrespectful way to appease a god because you you're basically saying that you need the energies of this animal or this child because you don't trust in this entity's ability to do anything on its own, and it really puts your own power in perspective, and it shows that you need the death of something to get anything accomplished. Like you can't do anything outside of your with your own power.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but it's a very Christian idea, and really we don't respect that at all.
Okay. All right. Very good. I do have one other topic before we move on the topic of Satanism. Um, we've spoken several times about indulgence and how indulgence is a very key component of Satanism, and as if to just enjoy life and learn how to not just to enjoy it, but to learn how to enjoy it, and learn how to make it last for as long as possible. So,
Right.
could you explain indulgence from the views of your Satanism, please?
Okay. Well, indulgence is basically all the things that you've come to enjoy about life itself. Christianity, and specifically, has really um, shown a lot of uh, negativity towards things that are of this world that are enjoyable, because they feel that it's a distraction uh, from God. It's a distraction from your spiritual path, and Satanism isn't really about spirituality. Well, I guess that really depends on your definition of spirituality.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
it does. It does depend on the Satanist too, doesn't it?
yes, and there's this misconception that Satanists uh, are basically hedonistic. Basically, if it tastes good, eat it. If it feels good, do it. But there's a difference between uh, that sense of uh, that sense of indulgence and what we uphold. Uh, we basically draw the line between indulgence and compulsion. Uh, Compulsion is basically indulgence on a self-destructive level, and that's usually the product of abstinence, of refraining yourself from enjoying a certain aspect.
Okay.
We don't believe in abstinence. We believe that everything should be taken into moderation, because if you give in too much to the indulgence, you basically lose your will to to control, and we are always about control, self control, and I mean that's basically it. We think that we don't respect abstinence because abstinence leads to compulsion, which leads to self-destructive behavior.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Now, I'd like to move on to some personal history of Jester's Court, if you will,
Okay.
regarding your YouTube channel and your transition into the Alliance of Demons, and of course, I was a part of that group for a while with you, and wow, it seems like forever ago when we made that video, the mask, about the masks, wearing the mask thing, and that's pretty much how Jester and I met. And if it hadn't been for the Alliance of Demons, granted the Alliance of Demons as a whole need not be judged as a group. If you want to judge the Alliance of Demons, I would prefer that you do it individually, because every individual member brought something different to the table, and arguably, and I don't even remember now, it was so fucking long ago, how the Alliance of Demons fell, but I guess eventually we'll get into that if we can even fucking remember, because the channel's closed now, or at least the main channel is. So, so yeah, tell us, if you can, or to the best of your ability, the history of Jester's Court.
Well, Justice Court hasn't really came into his character until way before. I think the channel's name was actually called Mr. Wrath Rat. That was my first like YouTube name, and that was basically a sort of nickname that I was given in high school. And it really had no goal. I mean, I would make videos based on what I felt like doing. And this was also the channel that existed when I was transitioning between Christianity into atheism. Um, I remember in using that channel, um, I made a video response to nicotine. Is it nicotine 2? But he basically asked a question to theists, and I remember the question that I was addressing was, how do I reconcile with the existence of evil while worshiping a God who, well, basically, how do I reconcile worshiping a God that allows evil into the world? And I remember giving an honest answer, the most honest answer that I could come up with, and that I basically said that uh, through tragedy, humanity comes together, and that was the excuse that that I had given, and I got a lot of flack over that, and I realized that what I was talking about was pretty much insane. I was basically justifying evil without even noticing it. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. Um, then I started to move out of my faith. I had gone through my deconversion, and I basically was looking at the videos between the atheists and the Christians on YouTube, and the atheists were starting to make more sense, and finally came out as an atheist. Um, and the very first Ponage video that I ever made was when Coughlin hosted the Ponage Olympics. So I tried my metal with the my first Ponage video, and I wanted to do something different. I wore a clown mask with the jester cap and my jester outfit, and I gave it that little dark tone with the red filter, and I changed my voice. I basically wanted to stand out, and it worked. Um, so what followed from that was some more videos, Ponage videos involving my jester character. But it was basically just play acting. It wasn't anything psychological. Um, I didn't realize it to be psychological until later down the line.
Okay.
Um, I had some trouble with my parents though because that was still I created the Jester character in the Mr. Rathrat channel. The
Okay.
problem with that was a lot of friends of my parents were subscribed to me, and I hadn't known this because she was sharing my videos to other people that she knew. And basically, the word got around that I had deconverted, that I was making these really weird, freaky videos, and they were concerned for my mental health.
Yeah, I know how that feels. Being
Right,
accused of being some kind of a psychopath just because you're putting on a mask.
right. So, word got out, and we basically went through the drama with my parents, and I was still living under their roof. So, um, it wasn't until I decided to make an entirely different channel, and that channel is what we have now called the Jester's Court, because that's what I called my show, my ponage show was the Jester's Court.
Okay.
I just um, spelled it differently so that I can have that name because apparently the original way it was spelled out was already taken, so I had to shorten it. Um, and that's how I got to my Jester's Court channel. Uh, where did I go from here? I gotten a little bit more comfortable into the Jester character. I start to embellish him as a actual character. Um, and that's when I got a noticed from the Alliance of Demons.
Okay.
And at the time, it was a views game. Uh, I felt that if I aligned myself with people that I reasonably got along with, um, sure, what the hell? I mean, I can post my videos on their channel. I get more views. They'd be redirected to my channel. As long as I didn't lose my artistic integrity, I was like, sure, let's play the views game. But
And
the problem with
I think shortly after that, I had subscribed. Um, I had subscribed to your channel shortly
right,
after that, didn't I?
I I think so.
But
You
go
did.
ahead, continue, continue.
Um, later on down the line, I realized that being a part of a group, you are basically putting yourself as a victim of association, and that was the problem with being part of the Alliance of Demons. Um, at least it sure felt like that. It sure felt that way.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Looking back on it now, it seems that the Alliance of Demons had this white knight mentality.
Yeah, yeah, definitely like an agenda almost too, you know.
I guess.
And again, we're not necessarily addressing the entire group.
No, not the entire group.
I still talk with many individuals from the Alliance of Demons. I recently, I think like maybe a few weeks ago, rather, I spoke with Skelegrim, and
I don't think he was really that involved in the Alliance of Demons either. I mean, he didn't really get involved with the drama, which I
no,
respect the guy for.
yes, definitely. Anyone who wasn't who didn't indulge in the drama, I was friends with, and I'm still in contact. What's his name? Religion is Cancer, I believe the
Marco.
username was. Yes, yes, him. Uh, I uh, I befriended him as well, and I think he just moved on, really. I don't think he makes YouTube videos anymore, but
As far as I know, I don't think he does either.
yeah, he moved on. He would have joined uh he would have joined us on Shadows of Justice had he decided to stay on YouTube, but he had better things to do, and I don't blame him, you know.
Right.
Um, but yeah, go on.
Well, I think it was when we got into the whole. I don't even feel like bringing it up, but uh, when it got to the drama between
Yeah, Felita the geek.
Felita, yeah.
But yeah, yeah, but we don't necessarily have to talk about that. It's
Well, I just mentioned it because that was really the straw that broke the camel's back,
yeah, that's
as
true.
far as I'm
That
concerned.
was really that was like the iceberg meeting the Titanic, in
And
my opinion.
the thing is, it was so meaningless that I don't even remember what it was about, and nor did I care at the time. Don't give a shit now.
Yeah, you know, so we
Um,
don't have to go into it too much. But I remember how did I get in? I don't even remember how I got in. It was of course I had that association with you. Um, and it was so long ago. I think I did a video
I think
response to
what
you.
it was, I don't know how you actually got involved. How if you contacted AOD or AOD contacted you, I'm not even sure. But apparently, what it was a battle of the cocks, really. I mean, um, Jeffrey Jeffrey had this thought that you were wanting to take over or something along those lines,
Oh
which
no,
was like,
no, that's so ridiculous. How can I take over a channel that isn't mine?
and why would you want to? I
No,
mean,
no, no, no. I was just excited to be I mean for me it was about the views,
yeah.
you know?
At this point, it's all petty bullshit, and I'm glad that it's over.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean but that's the only reason why I honestly I'm comfortable with talking about it because the channel's closed now. Um, However, it is a big part of both of our histories here on
right,
YouTube. I do owe a lot to Zerota for allowing me in the group uh, at the time,
right,
and that collaboration video was just that was it. That was that magical moment. It was like it's kind of like sex for the first time, you know, doing a collaboration like that. No, I'm serious. Well, not quite like sex, but it was such a new feeling to be
right.
just a part of something big. Um,
You basically felt that you were a part of something that was delivering a message that you held dear, and you were glad that you did it with the person that you respected.
yeah, and it's like at the time, man, I'm like, wow, I really dig this Jester's Court guy. He knows what's going on. He's not a fucking airhead like most of these assholes uh, on YouTube. So
Not all the time.
yeah, I mean, I mean, what my point is that I definitely I looked up to you, like
Thank you.
um, but again, you were right. And I still do look up to you, but again, at the time, it was about dick measuring,
Pretty
complete
much.
dick measuring. Um, you know, Jester's Court at the time had a very big e penis. Um, I saw that he was among a group with other big e penises, and all of those personalities together on one channel. Um, to me, it was like a big it was like a dark, it was kind of like a Legion of Doom type of thing to
Right. I
me.
think what that's what really drew me to it because it had that dark aesthetic as well. Um, and I adored the name. I mean, it was Alliance of Demons, and it was mostly made up of people who I believe to be rational, um, who had a lot to say about society at large, And yeah, I saw myself supporting this group, so that's why I joined. It wasn't until drama started or shit started hitting the fan that I was like, wow, this is really petty, childish bullshit. And I'm glad that I've noticed it, and that's why I left. Um, it took me a while to make that decision because, when you separate yourself from a group, I mean, even if you did it with good intentions, uh, you lose friends. And I didn't want to lose my friends. I mean, despite all the bullshit that they may have produced, uh, I mean, they were wonderful people that I could talk to, and I didn't want to lose them. But I barely talk to any of the members anymore. Uh,
Yeah,
the only real members that I've actually stayed in contact with uh, weren't really that much involved. Well, except for
yeah,
Marco.
yeah.
Uh,
It was really surreal, you know.
yeah,
It was like the fall, watching the fall of an empire to me. You know, it
it
was
could have
like
done some
the
great
fall of
things.
yeah, it was like the fall of Rome,
Hmm.
or Greece, or Egypt. It was just, and quite honestly, I'm glad uh that I got out of there. You know,
Yeah,
before the shit uh hit my way. One thing that I was surprised about though is that Zerota, he didn't come after me at all. He didn't send people to my channel. He didn't try and troll me or anything like that. Or he just respected what I wanted now. Then when I got out, because no matter what you believe, and I don't. It's been so long, but I just remember this blackjack and hookers joke that was being cracked. Um, Dorota posted this video. Now it wasn't about me specifically, but I got the joke, and I decided to indulge him. Like, yeah, yeah, that's me. That's sure, why not? And from that, it inspired me. I was like, you know what? I'll create my own group.
yep.
So I made the Shadows of Justice, and at first it was kind of like a joke. I ripped one of your videos and put it on the Shadows of Justice channel, uh, joking that you were gonna come over here, that I'm stealing you away. Uh, of course, fate as it seems, or history as it seems, isn't without a sense of irony.
Right.
um, but
And
I mean,
I must
yeah,
admit, after the fallout with Alliance of Demons, after being proposed this idea of joining another uh, what was it, a compilation channel
yeah, collaboration channel.
collaboration.
Yeah,
After joining another collaboration channel, I was very anxious, or I was, not really anxious, but I was apprehensive. Uh,
yeah, you were
very
shaky
withdrawn
about
from.
it,
I wasn't
shaky
really
about it.
no, not like a fear sort of thing, but
Yeah,
I guess that the only fear that was involved was getting back into more petty bullshit. Which, let's be honest, Shout Out to Justice hasn't really made that much bullshit. Hasn't really made that much drama. So I said, "Fuck it, let's do it."
yeah, yeah, definitely. It's that was one of my and I remember setting up a bunch of rules. I'm like, you know what? How do I learn from the mistakes of the previous collaboration channel that I was involved in? So I set up some rules, and one of those rules was your real life comes first. If you don't have time enough for a collaboration video, then that's fine. It's no problem. Your real life comes first, and I remember that. For example, I talked with Porcelain Predator uh, not too long ago, and she apologized for just kind of disappearing from the internet. But I was like, no, you have nothing to be sorry about. You have a life. You have school. You have whatever.
Mhm.
You're doing your thing, and you're making a good future for yourself. So honestly, it's you. If you have a life outside of YouTube, then if I honor everything that I stand for as Phantom Lion, then uh, I need to acknowledge that. That's one thing that I felt Zerota wasn't very thoughtful of when it came to people's personal lives.
Yeah,
Uh,
I could probably say that too.
uh, and it's no offense to him. Even after I left the group, we still had this kind of mutual respect going on. It was really kind of weird,
Hmm.
but and it's I still would like to ask him about why he never went after me, but it's still a question in the back of my mind. But moving on. So you're on the Shadows of Justice now. So how do you feel, or how did you feel at the time that you were on this new collaboration channel that I had pitched to you?
Well, I really just thought about what ways I could contribute to the group, and it honestly felt like I wasn't really contributing enough. Um, and let's be honest, I haven't been making videos that much for Shadows of Justice. I've been more focusing on my channel and what I wanted to do, really, uh, basically for my own purposes. And that's why I've had second thoughts about, just calling it quits. Say, look, I'm not really making videos for Shadows of Justice. I'm not really making videos for my own channel, uh, uh, in and of itself. But it
Yeah,
wasn't. But
go
I
ahead.
just decided just to stick it out. I mean, sure, I'm fine being called a honorary member or whatever. What did you call it? Honorary judge,
Yeah,
whatever it was.
yeah, whatever. But you're still a member. It's like if you don't, you can come and go. The rules now have changed. You can come and go as you please. You're not, you don't have. There isn't a ball, there isn't a chain attached to you, and at the other end, you're hooked to the Shadows of Justice. You can come
Right.
and go as you please. And if you have a collaboration idea, great. Get with me or another member of the group, and you can upload it to the channel, and I will make sure that it gets views.
I guess the only real contribution that I've made to the Shadows of Justice is whenever I become part of something that me and you have personally worked on. And that's really the only real contribution that I've made to the channel. Whenever we decided, me and you personally, get together and decide to work on something. And I think we first did that collaboration channel, which is still makes me laugh to this day. I don't even remember what the name of the video was, but
From one masked man to another, I think.
well, that was the first one when
Yeah,
we were involved in Alliance of Demons, and there
yeah.
was the other one where you were trying to
Oh
convince me
yeah,
to your side.
yeah, that video. Yeah, that
What if
one.
I
That was
gave you some
funny.
candy,
Yeah,
money, sex?
yeah, that
That
was
still brings a smile
hilarious.
to my face.
That was hilarious. That was just, oh man, that was classic.
And just last night when I participated in your show. Granted, it was a uninformed opinion, but it was an opinion nonetheless. And I mean, you agreed to hold this interview for me today, and
Yeah.
that's the only real contribution that I can offer. I think yeah, I think it's good enough. So I don't feel too bad about um, as far as my activity is involved.
Okay. Um, yeah, and that I had fun. That was a great. That was the best history lesson ever.
Right.
But we do before we go on to the questions, we do have a question from the chat. Green Ghost 2008 is asking, uh, is that a chaos tattoo?
Is this a chaos tattoo on my right shoulder? Yes, that was actually my very first tattoo. Um, I was very indecisive on what what to choose as far as a tattoo goes. So I thought um, it would be appropriate for me to tattoo something that was chaotic, and it wasn't just for like an aesthetic sense, but I that's essentially how I see life. I see life as chaotic. Um, I mean, beyond our own control. I mean, you can do as much as you can, but at the end of the day, the rest is based on chance. Um, that's was the key moment of my deconversion was realizing that nothing was predetermined, and that if I'm going to um, achieve anything, that it needs to be within my own power. And I've come to respect chaos, so that's why I've chosen the tattoo. And if you want to talk more about tattoos, I got the inverted pentagram on my or the inverted star
Oh, okay.
on my left shoulder.
So yeah, I mean the pentagram does raise some questions. It
Hmm.
goes back to the earlier questions that we asked of devil worship and all that. I mean, what
Right.
exactly does this pentagram mean? Of course, obviously,
Well,
it doesn't mean that you worship the devil.
right.
Okay.
Well, essentially, if you if you also notice, I'm wearing my Baphomet,
Hmm.
which is another inverted star.
Oh, by the
Um,
way, have you had time today to discuss your Lord and Savior, Lord Baphomet? I couldn't resist.
I know you had to throw that in there.
Oh man. Could you imagine if the Church of Satan, if Satanists went out and did that? It'd be an excellent prank, I think.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, uh, Satanism isn't really evangelistic. It doesn't really care for the numbers of its members. Uh, we really care about um, authenticity, and not everyone can be a Satanist.
Okay.
We've come to acknowledge that, and I don't think we really want to live in a world where everybody is a Satanist. I mean, I can't really imagine a world like that. I mean, it's like okay, imagine it's like saying a world full of nonconformists.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
It's an oxymoron in and of itself.
It's it's I mean, the goal, of course, is to not conform at all, but eventually you come to the idea that none of you have conformed, but
Well, don't get me wrong.
you have in turn conformed anyway because you've conformed to an ideal that you don't want to conform. So it's a ring around the rosy of
Right. I mean, look, there's
it's
essentially there's nothing really wrong with some forms of conformity, but if you are conforming strictly for the benefit of fitting in, that is completely unsatanic. It's not something that we value. But if you're conforming because this sort of thing gives you some sort of benefit, like let's say, oh well, the new iPhone is out. Uh, I can use this as it's a valuable tool that I can use in my day-to-day life. But sure, you go out and buy it because you find some use from it. You
okay.
don't go out and buy it because everyone has bought it. It's it's ridiculous.
Okay. Okay, so moving on. We've that I do have another question added about Satanism, but
Okay.
we'll get to that a little bit later. So, back to you, Jester. What does Jester's Court do with his free time?
Let's see. Besides surfing the web, and wasting time watching YouTube videos and Facebook and things of that nature. I I'm a graphic designer. I like to work with Photoshop and just basically creating things in general. Excuse me. I just have this creative urge that I feel needs to be quenched, and I do that either through writing, uh, creating images online, creating images and posting it on my DeviantArt, or basically just thinking about life, philosophizing and contemplating. Um, Nothing really out of the ordinary.
Okay. Really. Very, very good. My next question is, what is your opinion regarding drugs and alcohol?
Well, I feel that drugs and alcohol are a sort of escape, and that's why most people use it. I see it as a weakness, um, but then again, I this is my only hypocrisy is that this is my only real drug. Um, but then again, I could do worse than this. I could be waking up in my neighbor's yard, wondering where my pants are.
That would be interesting, although I hope to never read about that. Okay. Very, very good. Very good answer. Very okay. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm just picturing you laying down in some random lawn. Oh man, that's a good one. Uh, just waking up wondering where am I? Oh man. Oh, it's bad. Okay. Next question. This is a bit of a sensitive one. You may regard this, but what turns you on?
I'm gonna try to choose my words carefully. Well, um, hmm. Well, first of all, the macabre. I have a an attraction to what's dark and what's basically strange that isn't really accepted as a in a conventional society. Uh,
So
things that
no wonder we get along. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist, but go on.
right. I mean, I have interests like forms of taxidermy. Um, but for example, I have a little bottle of a baby shark, and I keep it on my in my little entertainment center. And not a lot of people really understand that. Some people think that it's an obsession over death, but really it's a friendly reminder of our own mortality, and I appreciate things like that. Um, so the dark and the macabre, um, things that inspire horror or things of that nature. I'm a frequent visitor of creepypasta.
Oh, okay.
um,
Interesting.
yeah. Um, let's see. As far as erotic cosplay, Harley Quinn. Um, um, and besides erotic, anything that is uh, natural to the human animal. Um, Whatever really enforces my idea of trying to find the most objective form of morality that is has no religious influence whatsoever.
Okay. Very good. Now, I do have one question that came to mind while you were while we segued into Satanism
Mm.
yet again. Uh, there is speculation, or there has been speculation, that Catholicism is satanic. Do you agree with this?
Not really, because well, it doesn't really make sense. Because I mean, what does Catholicism do on a day-to-day basis? I mean, they have an authority, and that authority is the Vatican. The Vatican's authority is God. I don't see it as satanic. Um, I'm not even sure why someone would speculate that. Um,
Yeah, it's been every now and then the topic creeps up, and every now and then
Now there is a an interesting idea that has been proposed that maybe Jesus Christ himself was satanic, because we're talking about a character who is a adversary towards the leading religious temple at the time. Uh, he was a opponent to the he was an opponent to the temple. Uh, so in some ways he was a form of adversary, but then again he was supporting a just a different authority. So
okay. Well, every now and then that topic does come up, and that accusation uh, d does get made towards Catholics and the Catholic Church. So I just wanted to know your opinion on it.
right,
So, so obviously, we can conclude that, at least in your opinion, that Catholicism is not satanic.
right,
Satanism, different animal. Catholicism, no connection. Right.
right.
Okay. All right. And last, but certainly not least, what is the future of the Jester's Court channel?
Well, I've taken a notice to how my videos have been produced. Um, I was more concerned about portraying a character rather than portraying myself. I mean, sure, I had the character and the personality, and it was more about glamour. It was more about uh, special effects and being entertainment, really.
Yeah,
Um,
you said earlier that at one point it had a psychological effect,
right,
much very similar to my to what I do on my channel, whereas this is kind of where we differ. Whereas this is who I am, versus what you were doing, and I'm not discrediting that at all. Sometimes we do get confused, but you did mention a psychological effect that's very similar to what I do.
well, I was portraying the character of Jester in a dualistic sense, where there was me, and then there was the Jester. And as I've continued playing out the Jester role, I've come to realize that you know the Jester is much is as real as I am. Um, as in other words, it's still the same person. And once I've come to realize that, I realize that the Jester has become an archetype, much like how Satanists use Satan as an archetype to represent themselves. And once that has become a reality to me, I didn't really feel the need to portray myself as the Jester anymore. And don't get me wrong, I still accept the name. I still accept calling myself the Jester. It was just coming to a realization that I don't necessarily need a mask to portray it. I just need to be myself and be honest with myself and portray it in that sense. So basically, portraying myself as a jester was uh, becoming less and less necessary.
I've
Um, but I still have that desire to. It became an aesthetic thing. Uh, Whenever I want to channel deeper into that side of me.
all right.
So
I have said re recently within the recent months that I can take everything that physically makes me Phantom Lion, you know, on the outside, and I can tear it apart. I can smash it to bits. I can burn it until it's ash. Uh, I'm still Phantom Lion. Uh, in fact, in the recent Iron Man film, Iron Man 3, Tony Stark says something very similar at the end. I don't want to spoil the ending for you if you haven't seen it, or even for the viewers. But give it a good watch. I think the third one definitely goes deeper into the psyche of who Tony Stark is, and arguably uh, who Iron Man is.
right.
So yeah, it's masks. They're a funny thing, aren't they?
Yep.
How?
I'd I hate to cut this short,
Yeah. No.
but
Okay.
I do have a wife who wishes to go to bed.
No problem at all. So yeah, we'll wrap this up now. Honestly, I do have a few requests. Number
Okay.
one, number one, don't close your channel. Don't
I
remove
I
don't
don't plan
remove
to.
don't remove any of your videos. They're all very precious.
By the way,
At
speaking of
least
that, I
at least
had
to
the
me.
past videos that I've created. They're not deleted. They're on private.
Okay.
And if there are any videos that you wish for me to put back on public, just send me a note. Send me a message.
All right, no problem.
In
Um,
fact, I may just put those videos that we've already mentioned in this video back on public.
no problem. As far as the future, as far as what the future holds for your channel, I honestly, some people they move on, they have better things to do, but that doesn't mean that one day you can't return and you can't make another video. It's just right now you have a life that you have to live, as you said. You have a someone that you care for, someone that you love, and that's very special. Above all, that takes precedent over everything else, at least in my opinion. And if people don't like that, and if your just subscribers don't understand that, then honestly, and I would say this to my subscribers as well, if I just disappear for a while and you don't like it, then, well, unsubscribe. You know, because I do have a life outside of YouTube, regrettably, and so does JeztersCort. And if that life um, takes over, then so be it. It's his real life is more important than than the internet life, than his internet life, or whatever the goings on YouTube are. Um, and I respect that decision if that's, well, you've already done that, but if you continue to do that, then that's fine by me. And that has been our interview. My interview with Jester's Court. This has been Phantom Lion, and I hope you all have a very good evening, and we'll see you again.